So today I thought we'd take a look at TSM versus 100 Thieves on Ascent, because of course 100 Thieves lost 13-0 the last time we saw them on Ascent, and of course they have two new players since we last saw them on Ascent. So I thought this would be quite an interesting thing to do, and obviously TSM are kind of going through their own thing where, like, it's, are they good all of a sudden? Like, after being, seemingly pretty bad for a while. First thing we need to point out, of course, is 100 Thieves comp, because of course it has changed and they have gone much more with a kind of what I would call the standard meta comp for this map. They bring in Bang, who's on KO here, and they get Asuna off that chamber onto a jet. Which to me, this is the meta comp. It makes a lot more sense, and we're going to take a look at some of those changes and how that affected things, right? For TSM, it's the same thing, but just of course Wardell, instead of a Killjoy, is playing a chamber because he always plays chamber. So with that in mind, let's take a look at some of these rounds and see what changed from last time 100 Thieves played on Ascent to this time. So the first round I want to look at is round number 4, and this had a wild start to the game where, 100 Thieves won the pistol, then TSM thrifted them, then 100 Thieves thrifted them back, and so here we are where 100 Thieves have a buy and TSM kind of have a weird half buy thing, and as you can see, the 100 Thieves started with a kill. They are in red. They are attacking to start off with, which is the side that they lost 12-0 to Knights. So they start off pretty well, catching someone here on the push, and now, as you can see, they're going for an A-lean, and they're going to attack into this A site. So that's not what I wanted to do there. But as you can see, there's actually 3 members of TSM here. So this is the kind of situation that if you watched my video on how 100 Thieves lost 13-0, this was the kind of situation that they really, really struggled in. And as you can see here on the normal map, Corey here has a shorty. And this would have been disastrous with 100 Thieves old comp. And, it still is going to actually net them a kill there, the shorty, because that's just what it does. But it's not going to be disastrous for them because this happens instead. Because instead of Asuna being on chamber, they actually get to do that. Now, Asuna, whilst he was doing that, it seems, didn't manage to check this. And so one is going to die, but of course Corey here knows that this is pretty much a one and done scenario, because at any point, Asuna could turn around and kill him. So he knows that he can't just stay here, right? He can't just get this kill and then back right into this corner, and that's what's going to be kind of a bit of a difference maker here as well. So as we run this forward, you can see he does get one, but then look, he knows he has to kind of push that second one because he's just going to die eventually anyway. And then as we saw, if I could just bring it back here, as we saw, what we're going to see from, I think it's Sub Rosa as well, is going to end up just like staring up at Asuna over here. You can see him here just like staring up, and so he dies as well to that, and Ethan gets 2 kills. Asuna's on the site, and then watch Rossi as well. He's kind of worried about where Asuna is as well, kind of turned to the corner. That's the difference a Jet makes, right? Basically, the Jet dash there kind of got them 3 kills. Because, this first one, he knew he had to push and couldn't just stay in that corner because he died to Asuna, right? Asuna would just turn around and kill him, and he had no chance with a shorty. So Rosa was really worried about Asuna and where he was and was looking up at him. He died to someone, just as he was staring up. And then Rossi here as well was kind of worried where Asuna might be and peeking back here, and also died to A main. That's the difference, right? And that's why you have to play like a Jet on this map. You just have to, because you need to be able to do that. And that is the difference. When they had a chamber, they couldn't get anyone up here. There was no one up here. Everyone was just stuck in this area, and all the defenders' attention were just on this one area, and, could easily shut them down. And let's watch the very next round as well, because this is something that 100 Thieves just simply could not do against Knights when they were running their old comp. But with this comp, let's see what happens, because we're just going to get here a very fast B take. As you're about to see, we get the KO ult as well, and you can see it's just press W, in they go. You get the jet dash as well, Silver ult in there also, and what's going to happen is Asuna's going to be able to get that kill on Aleko. And this is the difference, again, that they just did not have this before, but the KO plus jet is just going to give them this ability. They literally ran a very similar round with a Silver ult from here on to B. They ran this pretty much exact same thing. The difference was they just got mowed down here. Because no one could get past this point. They didn't have a KO ult to stop any suppression of utility, and they didn't have a jet dash to get past this point. So everyone was just stuck there, and the Silver was just ulting. That's what happened in their last game. What happens in this one, of course, is the KO stops any utility, which makes it a hell of a lot easier to get out of there. And then the jet dash, will create that space for you. and mean that this player here is in a nightmare position, right? He has to avoid this overall at the same time. But now there's pressure coming from both sides, and so he's basically screwed. Like there's literally nothing he can do, and that's why this comp works. It's why KO and Jet on this map are really really good, because they can get you past those choke points that are so hard to pass fairly reliably. Particularly when you have like a KO ult, it's fairly reliable. And I think in the other game, 100 Thieves got like 1 or 2 plants in their entire attacking half. Like, well, here's 2 rounds, where they get on site, very easily, pretty quickly, right? And that's just the difference straight away. Now they do lose a player to like a double flank on the Sova there, as he was ulting, but still 4v4, and they are going to win this round. 4v4 post plant. This is the difference. They were never in this situation against Knights, pretty much. This kind of full on 4v4. And it's just a completely different ballgame, because Ascent, is a fairly hard map to retake on. It's not the easiest of sites to retake on either side, and as you can see, Pico just spams through there. They get a kill from Asuna. Not sure about that dash, but here we go, as he tries to just like fake out Wardell, and they do get the trade, and they get the win. And to me, it was like, oh, thank God they changed the comp. And to people, and I see this comment, pop up every so often on Reddit threads and whatnot, of like, comps don't matter. Like, I cannot tell you, like, this is like the perfect evidence of comps do matter. Like, they really do matter, because the gaps between these players is so small that being able to do certain things and not do certain other things really matters for each map. And it changes obviously from map to map, but it does matter at this level. And I think that 100 Thieves attack, just go and watch these 2 games and see the difference for yourself. And so that was 100 Thieves attack. They won 7-5 overall on the attacking side, and getting 7 on Ascent attack side is pretty good. And so, to me, that was like, okay, they've fixed their attack side, or at least they've shown that they have some potential with this comp on the attacking side. But what about their defensive side? Because obviously we didn't see much of their defensive side in the last game. Only had 1 round of it because they were 12-0 down. And to me, there's still definitely some things that they need to iron out. But on the whole, I thought it was actually decent. Even though they end up losing this match, I actually didn't think it was that disastrous of a defensive half either. I feel like a couple gunfights go a couple different ways, and they probably actually win this match. But let's take a look at the pistol round and see what they were doing. So we're a couple seconds in, and what we're going to see is this aggression towards mid from these 4 players, which is kind of cool. But then what I liked is it's not going to go right for them, but they managed to regroup and get a good read nonetheless. And so let's take a look at exactly what happened. So Asuna is going to sneak up here, sneak up mid, as he sees, he finds that space on the top of mid, sees that no one's there, and then they're going to run this really like cool little flash thing. As you can see, there it goes. They get the flash, and Asuna just misses the shots. He just misses the shots, and so they have to retreat. But what I like is the adjustment from the different players, because these 2, as you can see, are just rocketing in and focusing on this. They know that they weren't really challenged there, that Asuna managed to get up here with no challenge, so they're pretty sure that no one is in this area, at least for now. And so they feel like, oh, we can just focus on A main then, because that's the area that they haven't really been giving focus to. So both of them are already there and they're ready. And then you also get the KO knife, which spots, I think, at least 1 player, maybe 2. And it's going to start off well for them, but they are actually going to lose this round because they are going to get to a couple kills here. I think they actually get into a 5v3. There you go. So they get the first 2 kills. And, it seems like it's a pretty good situation. And as you can see, here are the TSM players trying to, get back towards the site. But as you can see, they have 3 players there already. The problem is that it's a pistol round, and a pistol round could change very quickly if you just hit the right shots. And Wardell is going to hit those shots, because there goes 1. Aleko gets a Asuna as well, and Wardell gets the final one. And so that leaves them in a 2v2. And, on a pistol round, this still probably could go either way, but they are going to get the spike down, our TSM. And so I like some things here from 100 Thieves. I liked the way they kind of read the map. I liked what they did there. But, pistol rounds are a bit random. I don't love this. I don't love Ethan jumping in whilst Hiko is back here. Bit of a miscommunication between the 2 of them there a bit. And obviously it ends up costing them the round. And that is a win for TSM. Okay, now let's come to round 16, and again, we're going to see a really little cool regress from 100 Thieves, as you can see, they have multiple players grouped up here on this A main. And if I just bring it back to the normal mode, you'll see we've got Wardell here. He gets flashed, he teleports away. But then I want you to watch the reaction straight away from the 100 Thieves players. They are all going to go from A main, and they're all just going to come down here, which is like really, you might think, a bit weird. But I think the reason that they do that is they know if Wardell is holding this with his ult, you know, it probably means that they aren't going, that most of the rest of the team isn't looking to push with him there, that he's probably trying to hold any flanks here, and that the rest of the team is actually somewhere else. So they take that gamble knowing that Wardell was tasked with that to, you know, just go and reaggress here, and they get a drone off here as well and spot some players, so they're just going to reaggress on a short, and it works out pretty well for them, as we shall see. So here comes the drone from Ethan, and he's going to obviously spot that there are players there. And so yeah, here we go with that reaggress. JC Stani gets a kill, and he somehow is able to run out of there as well, thanks to the jet dash. And so yeah, they're doing pretty well at this point, but again, this round isn't going to go in their favor, and again, we're just going to see the reason why this jet character might be pretty good. Now, to be fair, and this is something I think 100 Thieves might need to look at, a lot of TSM's rounds, and I think a lot of rounds in general on a center attacking side, are won through this, through going through short. I don't know why it is, but it seems like a lot of teams struggle with holding this area. And I think that, you know, 100 Thieves are no exception. Asuna kind of gets caught there, but this is why the jet is good, right? Because Corey's going to dash in, and now what does JC Stani do? Like, he has to look both ways, right? And that is the difference. You know, JC Stani, if it's not a jet, probably gets one there, at least. But it was a jet, and so all of a sudden they end up in a 4v2, and they have to save, and so that's the difference. But again, I did like some things from 100 Thieves. I like the reaggress. I like the kind of way that they worked the map to start out with. Obviously, Asuna's death wasn't ideal, and then JC Stani's kind of couldn't do anything about his death. You know, just good play by TSM, and so ultimately they end up losing the round, but there were some positives there for sure. So now let's come to round number 19, and the first thing that we're going to see is some aggression. You can see them here. Some aggression from these 100 Thieves players, and this to me was something that kind of happened to them often. I don't mind the idea in general. I just think that against the particular team that they were playing against, it isn't the best idea, because what happened here happened quite often, and that was basically Wardell is going to hold with an op, and he's going to punish you for peeking out, and that happened quite a few different times where TSM would get the first kill from a player from 100 Thieves just walking out into his crosshair. And so, you know, in general, I don't mind the idea, because most teams won't always have an attacking op, but against TSM, they will pretty much always have an attacking op anytime they can. And so, you know, it seemed a bit risky for me, but, you know, that is what it is. It's not a bad idea in general. It's just against this one team, it might not be the best idea. They got a trade there on Corey, and in they go with the KO ult. Bang's timing there, not great. Maybe he could have pinged that instead, you know, and thrown it rather than having to come out of the smoke. I don't know what Rossi was doing there. It seemed like he kind of was just jumping around on Bang, and then you know, died to the silver ult. So anyway, we end up in a 2v2, and because the spike hasn't gone down yet, you know, they get to be pretty patient with their retake, and this is something that I like, because I feel like a lot of people do panic in these scenarios and aren't that patient, whereas, you know, they have plenty of time, and they know they have plenty of time, so they're just going to wait it out. Aleko eventually brings out the drone. You know, they want to shoot the drone. They have to wait for Tico's tag to kind of go before they want to make this move. You know, all of those things. And it's well done here by 100 Thieves. They try and isolate one. Hiko just sneaks onto the site, as you can see, and he finds his one. You see quite a few people die in that kind of way, where they're just like sticking out, but they don't even know it. And here we go, you know, and Ethan's just going to hold. They know that Wardell has an op, and the spike is in a pretty bad position for him, because he's going to have to peek around Ethan and kill that as well. And so 100 Thieves do end up taking the round. Now, overall, 100 Thieves did end up losing the match, but as I said, that it definitely, I mean, it's obviously an improvement. They got more than 0 rounds. You know, the first pistol round, it was an improvement. But I think in general, you know, they showed that with this comp, I think that, you know, they can be competitive. As I said, they kind of ran into Wardell quite a few times, and that cost them a few rounds. And a couple gunfights go a different way here and there, and they would have won this game. And I think that is definitely a major positive with, you know, 2 new players, a new comp, people, you know, Hiko changing agent, Ethan changing agent. That overall, that is a good thing. New IGL as well. Like, considering all of those different changes, I think that this was a pretty good showing from 100 Thieves. And, if you're a 100 Thieves fan, there should be some hope that, at least they can be a lot more competitive than they were last time they played on Ascent.